But, you know, at the very least, with a summer break, you at least have a chance, a non 0% chance of finding some fire within you, some passion, some hobby that you want to do, something that's actually contributing to society and will provide value to others and your own future. As opposed to having year-round fucking school, you don't really have any free time to dedicate yourself to any single thing. Unless that's after school, of course, but unless you're a student athlete, you, most people are just drained, unmotivated after school. The same way it would unmotivate anyone with a 9 to 5 job. With year-round school, you basically have, it's basically a 0% chance that you're gonna really do anything meaningful within that time. And imagine that from the grade 1 to grade 8th, you're basically cooked. And by the time you get to high school, you'll be too stuck within the framework, the bubble of school. You won't understand what it is like to have your own free time, to have autonomy, which I think is one of the biggest things that schools take away from the kids. Any sense of autonomy or individualization. That's probably the wrong word. But yeah, the schools, I'm sure you've seen this before, but schools, they literally just make everyone factory workers and not very creative thinkers, if I do say so myself. And that's because they're forced into boxes that they can or cannot conform to. Most people can. And as a result, they grow up to be low IQ or low EQ or both adults, which doesn't create a very functional society. So that's why the current way it is, luckily, is that we have a non 0% chance as young adults, as growing adults, as people, to become not useless to society and to ourselves, and to not be a bunch of neats. NEAT stands for not in, was it education or fuck? It's basically, one of the E's stands for education, not in education, or the other E, or training. Which it's actually a grim reality for a lot of people in Japan. That's where the term originated from. And I think it happens in Japan for a majority of reasons. But to relate it to what I'm talking about, it's definitely got to be the social conformity factor of it and the fact that their system so everyone for the ant colony and not for themselves, which does reflect somewhat into the American way of doing things. Although we are a little more individualistic, we still are told to function for the benefit of the school and not for the benefit of yourself, whatever that may be. But if you're the majority of the population, which you probably aren't if you're watching this video, you would be, wasting your time, really. And that's not even wasting your time, having no purpose, blah, blah, blah. It's not entirely the fault of school, although school is definitely a factor that inhibits, prevents, or slows down anyone that wants to get out of that set path of going to college, finding a 9 to 5, doing a bunch of bullshit for your entire life, and having only a 2 month free time part of the year, whether you're an adult, full grown adult, or a kid. It's not exactly the school system's fault. It's definitely blamable on it. As much as I hate to say it, because I think the internet's amazing, in my opinion, it's a double-edged sword with most things that have a lot of power or convenience or literally any form of substance to it. It can be bad, it can be good. And it's very easily made bad by the mega corporations, blah, blah, blah. I'm not going to go down that rabbit hole. Major point being, Actually, what is the major point? Well, fucking hell. I forgot my talking points, but the people are fucked. The school systems in America not really helping. The literacy rates are dropping. The education system as a whole is showing its wear and tear. But now that we do have the internet, there is an opportunity, a realistic, widespread opportunity to escape. And that opportunity is only amplified by something like summer break. It's not something you really have to... Okay, think about it realistically like this. Most people in the school year, when they are on the weekend, on a theoretical year-round school, when they're on the weekend, they're just recharging for the next fucking week. If we have to think about recharging every weekend for the next week ahead, there's no surplus energy to devote to anything. That eliminates any possibility, or the vast majority of the small possibility of anyone within the school system breaking out of the matrix. As corny as that is to say, that's the truth. A full round school system would be so ass. School in and of itself is an inhibitor to your potential, unless your potential, or whatever limit you set for yourself in your career goals as a doctor or engineer or whatever the fuck. Yeah. I mean, I guess that's what my video is really about. It's, yeah, year-round schools are ass for the pre-mentioned reasons of inhibiting your potential and being a nuisance to any free time you'd have. And the summer breaks, as we have them, is the only it's the only period of time in which we have a chance to get out of the matrix. Man, I fucking hate school. That's all I really wanted to say. Although I do use it kind of as a scapegoat as to why I haven't filled any substantial part of my potential. It is definitely practically, not just subjectively, but also objectively to blame. For the pre-mentioned reasons. I mean, schools, it was never meant to make anyone actually free. And if that's what you want, a life of enslavement to whatever corporation, to whatever boss, to whatever authority figure, as you call them, then that's your prerogative. And I can't shit on you for that. But to literally anyone else, aka actually a vast majority of the population, you probably want to be free, right? You don't want to be told when to wake up. I'm sure of that. 90% of the kids, they don't. And the 10% are either brainwashed or ignorant or stupid. That's a bit extremist, but it's actually what I believe. You can't... There's no future for these kids. You can't make a functioning society with the system we have now. It's really just a matter of the boiling point. You can already see it happening in China with their school system and the society as a whole that's so reliant on people and what they do on schools. Yeah. In China, your fucking quote-unquote future, as they say in the media or just interpersonally, your future is determined by the Gaokao. Basically, the ACT and the SAT put together, but difficulty on 2x. Maybe even 5x. I don't fucking know. I haven't taken it. But because everything they've done up to that point to take the Gaokao is going to represent their score, that's a lot of pressure. And that's also got to be one of the reasons why no young Chinese person is doing any matrix escaping, as I'd call it, because their society isn't built for that. And after the Gaokao, after they get their mediocre or somewhat good score, they move on to college, they graduate, they get their degree, but then they enter a workforce that's over fucking saturated because there's a billion fucking people and just as many college degrees. That's what happens with oversaturation of these type of things. Initially, it's great. It's great. You need engineers, you need doctors, you need lawyers, you need blah, blah, blah to build a country. But that's just for the initial stages. Once you get past that, once you have everyone doing all that, and we know how to do that, and it's set in stone basically, anyone with more degrees is just more competition. And as a result, a majority of the people in China that are younglings getting into the workforce, they're fucking poor. There's a reason why the CCP has to fake data on the living standards and the GDP, blah, blah, blah. Because they're doing terribly. Because the system for raising children into adults just isn't working. And America's on that very same path. I mean, you're already seeing a bunch of people recently, or more like ever since TikTok came out, people have been fucking complaining about the American job market and how however many fucking degrees they have, they can't find a fucking job. They gotta work as a barista for a couple years before they can find something a little more concrete. So it should be clear to most people already that the path that's been prescribed isn't the right one. And that's why you should find something else. It's much easier said than done, I won't lie. But to give you a basic rundown of it, it's finding what you're good at. Basically, ikigai. Ikigai. It's a Japanese term for finding your purpose. And it's based off 4 things. I forgot what they were. Go search them up. But basically, if you like it and if you could make money from it, you might as well do it. But since, and when going back to my original point, since there's fucking school fucking you for a majority of the year, for 10 out of the 12 months of the year, you can't really do that, can you? School is the common limiter, basically. And it's a big reason why the vast majority of people who actually do know what they want won't get it. Because they're objectively held back by the school system. But to be fair, I do also believe that it is completely and utterly true. If you want it bad enough, you'll probably get it. There's a non-0% chance of that happening. So it's as good as true. And practical methods you could do to pursue whatever the fuck you want in school, in that person. It's probably finding ways around the policies, finding free time, and perhaps if there is a club that is somewhat related to what you want to do, figure that out. Get in, get good, provide value. Now, that is with the pretense that you did go through the Ikigai process, which, holy shit, it's going to take you a whole lot more than one YouTube video, bro. It's going to take you years. I would recommend long-term, to keep your mind refreshed on these concepts, watching someone like Healthy Gamer GG. I forgot. How could I forget his name? I forgot his name. But basically, it's this Indian guy that was practicing, I'm not sure if it was Buddhism, but basically, he was a monk. Or something like that. He learned what he wanted to do. He learned how to manage his mind. He learned himself, basically. He went through a whole self-discovery arc in his 20s. I'm not going to go into that, but I just watched a simple fucking video on his backstory. You should probably go watch that guy. But man, I fucking hate school. I'm gonna be saying the same shit I'm saying right now 10, 20 years from now. Probably not looking as ugly as I am, but definitely better. Like, bro, when's the last time? How easily could you just enjoy freedom when you're in the school year grind? It's not easy. It's not easy to have moments of peace. Like, check this out. I know, right? I know, right? This is fire. I'm glad I'm here. But the school literally just drains you the same way a 9 to 5 would. It's really bad. And even more so if you're ignorant, or you don't know how to pay attention, or you don't know how to learn, or you don't know how to get info in right once and keep it. You're even more cooked. You got to catch up, because there's going to be a bunch of mental load about school on you outside of school, thus leaching into your potential time that you could be using to finding what you want to do and how to do it. But I think basically the meta right now for, I wouldn't know how to describe the group I'm part of, but basically everyone's that's based. That knows it's bullshit, that is painfully aware of it, and that wants something better. The meta would be maximizing your productive hours outside of school, which would basically just mean finding something you want to do and then putting time into that, and then covering the basics of living a healthy life, which is sleeping, eating, and working out, and doing all those things consistently, which would be incredibly inhibited if you have a social media addiction, or if you can't stop the doom scroll, or if your dopamine receptors are fried, which only pushes you farther down the rabbit hole of school. So yeah, you got the internet against you too, basically. So it's hard out here. But you really have to find the David Goggins in the back of your head to make you do the hard work, especially when you don't feel like it. All right, quick hit piece on school, the curriculum, the Bible schoolism as a whole, and why it's so ass. It's because a majority of it's just controlled by a bunch of leftists that want to implant ideology into you of diversity, of blah, 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 and that's actually a goal of theirs. They put effort into that, stupidly, and not actually focusing on the education of the kids, which is already fucking outdated. We don't really need to be known or taught a vast majority of the things that are being told in schools. It's much better if only the public school system would do something to change the curriculum and teach things relevant to what kids want to do, and have classes, courses that are kind of like free play, that are relevant to finding what they want to do, and then funneling them into courses and classes about what they want to do. That's really it. If only schools weren't just proxies for mega rich people to enact power and keep the people that are going to be enslaved, then we would have a utopia. Or something closer to that. Just not the hellhole, the grim halls of false promises we have now. Individual corporations and peoples and companies are doing something about this. There are many private schools that do very well. There are many, okay, not many, but a couple AI school organizations that are doing very well. But obviously, you can't really push that out to the majority of the populace because the majority of the populace are under control and are basically at the wills of the public school makers. So they won't be getting access to any AI tutoring school system at all. And not even to mention the tuition, which is like 10K plus on average, from what I've seen. Which for most people, the public en masse, obviously out of reach. But you know, like, if only America could do a little bit better as a country. If only we were run by some better people. If only there wasn't so much corruption. If only there were elected individuals that had a majority of control. But I highly doubt that's going to happen within my lifetime. So, the best anyone like me could do is to just outmaneuver the system in place instead of playing the game. Find alternatives to school that it can't provide you, or it provides you in a terrible way, but you could find a better way of learning that same thing or knowing that same thing or doing that same thing. School's practically just a fucking daycare for most parents at this point. I don't even want to go down the parenting rabbit hole of how that's a massive contributor to why schools are ass, to why the kids are stupid, to why the kids aren't going to be growing up into doctors, lawyers, and engineers. Going to be too busy crushing out, as they say. But not everyone. For someone like me to even capitalize, to even profit off of, to even gain on a system like this, we need the plebs. The school system creates only plebs. And people like me are low-key dependent on them to live the lavish lifestyle that we want. So I can't say I entirely hate them for it. But I also, on the other hand, would love to see more people such as myself, as based, informed as I am. But oftentimes, your wishes for reality are never met. I don't expect it to be. But I love to think about it. Like, damn, what would the world be like if the school system wasn't raising a bunch of plebs? If parents knew how to parent? If people weren't fucking stupid? I think stupidity is the root of the issue. If we eliminated that, if we had either IQ or EQ or both within the mass populace, then the people in control right now, causing all of this massive global dumbing, would probably not be in power. We'd probably have a couple extremists on our side trying to kill them every fucking night, and eventually it would work. To end this off, I want to say something directly to you. Don't listen to schools. Don't listen to what they do. Act like a good student, the good boy or girl that you are. Pause. But act like you're a part of the system, like they want you to be. Do something entirely different on your own. And once you're out of high school, you're basically on your own. You could take gap years. You could take a gap life. Do that if you're unsure whether you want to go to college or not. Because that road has been ridden a bunch, and the only stories you get to hear are the ones based off survivorship bias. There are 4 times as many failures as there are winners. There always will be.